Yo, what's good guys, it's Johto Draft. Hopefully everyone's doing well, and if you're new here, welcome to my channel. And today we have a tier list for VSTAR Universe, more specifically the special arts, which include art rares, secret rares, and ultra rares. I believe those are the four. Yeah, so I compiled a tier list. As you see here, it is beautifully done by yours truly. Until I get any VSTAR Universe boxes in hand, which I believe the prices are going to go down in the near future, this tier list will suffice for that. So hopefully you guys do enjoy this. It is going to be lengthy. We do have a total of 90 secret rare or like special art cards. If you compare that to the previous special expansion sets, I believe VMAX Climax had 101 and Shiny Star V actually has 140. So this is much less, but I feel like there's just so much more packed into these artworks. I feel like we're being spoiled with such good art. And finally, a disclaimer, by no means is this a definitive tier list. It is just my opinion. So if you guys have your own opinions on the cards themselves, please use this template of the tier list, which I'll link down below. And I'm actually going to be bouncing between two screens because I have the tier list on one and I have a blown up image of the card so I can look more closely at it on another. So first card I'm going to start off with is a Hisuian Voltorb, which is 173 over 172. Where this card is actually done by Hogonosuke, which is a very notable artist. Love his art style very much. There's not really much going on with this Voltorb. It's just chilling by a tree under some shade and there's some like acorns around him. There's nothing special going on, so I think for this one we'll put it in the B tier to start off. Moving on, we have a Kricketune, and this is just beauty right here. So Kricketune, I believe, is like a composer Pokemon, music Pokemon. We see a bunch of Pokemon around it. In the foreground, we see Lotad in the pond, a Snob, which I think is kind of maybe out of season, but then maybe it's getting colder there. Baneri, Shroomish, Komala, Stuffle, Golbat, chilling by the lamppost, Wooloo, Emolga, and a little Rufflet on top of the lamppost as well. So despite all the Pokemon you see, you can definitely tell that the focal point is a Kricketune, so really like that and like the music notes coming around it. So this one, I would say A tier for sure, because it's just so much detail in like the Pokemon themselves and just how they're all like communing to Kricketune in the middle. So that's very nice. Next up, we have the Magmortar and Electivire. I love these guys. I feel like in every artwork of one or the other, you always see the other one behind it in some way. They're like rivals, best friends in some way. This is also done by Surata, which I forgot to mention the previous one, which is done by Nurikabe. So a lot of new artists and a lot of old, quote-unquote old artists as well. So love to see the variety of different people working on these cards. But going back to this one, I just love like the friendly vibe that they have. Seems like they're in the middle of the woods after it snowed, so they're just hanging out by the campfire, which is very cute. I think this has to go in the A tier as well. And personally, I feel like it's blasphemous if I put anything in the C or the mid tier, because it's just like huge disrespect to the artist, which I doubt we'll see. But then maybe there's just a Pokemon that I just don't like, or I just don't like the art style. But then hopefully nothing really goes in that mid tier especially. But moving on, we have Oricorio, and it is done by the legend Komiya himself. And this one kind of reminds me of like, you know, like cave paintings or even like hieroglyphics, you know, just like the styling of it. And I definitely think that Komiya's style definitely matches to that pretty well. So we see 3 Oricorios and like this crazy background with a bunch of colors. I love Komiya's use of colors. It's very unorthodox, but it just somehow works, just because he just developed that style. So this one, I think because it is Komiya, we have to put in the A tier. Next, we have this Lapras. Oh my gosh, this Lapras art is so adorable. It's so cute. We have Lapras in the foreground. We see another one behind it. We see a Spheal just riding on the back of it. We see a Mantine, Mantike, a Lumineon, and a Wishiwashi. And above the water, we see some Wingull and a Pelipper. I love how you see the divide between the water and the land. Man, I think this one will have to maybe go in the A tier for now. Yeah, I feel like S tier, I want to kind of like reserve it for like those really spectacular, like exceptional cards. Next, we have this Manaphy, again with a bunch of Pokemon surrounding them. I feel like for VSTAR Universe, instead of trainers, obviously we see the Pokemon themselves in the Pokemon world and how they interact with other Pokemon as well. So Manaphy, this is Manaphy, right? Not Fion? Or is it Fion? I am so lost. But whoever it is, we see some Pyukumukus, we see a Toxapex, right? Wishiwashi, a Pikipek above it, some Bruxish, that's how you say it, right? I love the ripple effects and how like the ripples even affect like his like hands and everything, which is pretty cool. And even like the little cavern or like the little trench that you see below him, like you see the depths of the water, I guess. I completely miss it, but there's a Wimpod on the bottom right corner as well. But yeah, this one, I think, I don't know. Maybe because this was one of the first cards that we saw that I'm kind of like numb to it in a way, but then this one I kind of get like B tier vibes. There's not really much going on, it's just like hanging out. But then I don't know, I feel like the Lapras was a little bit better with like dynamic contrast between the water and like the air. Moving on, we have Keldeo. Okay, so we have Keldeo like skating on some ice and the aurora lights above him, which is basically just crazy. I don't know if the colors can change to like the rainbow, but then we see majority green, We see hints of like red, pink, blue, all scattered throughout. It is the night sky. Love like the sunset vibes that we're getting right here. Love like the reflections of like the trees on the ice in the background. Kind of gives me like Bob Ross vibes in a way, you know, happy trees and all that, and like the little shading that he does with the reflections. I think this one will definitely go in the A tier for sure. We got Electivire and Magmortar again, but the emphasis here is on Electivire, and this one's just so hilarious. I love Nakai's styling. It's like a comic book style, like bold black outlines, you know, the little sketch patterns, cross hatching and all that. And I guess he's just being struck by lightning midday with like, you know, just a normal cloud in the background, but Magmortar is just like stunned. This one's really cute, really funny. There's not really much going on, I guess. Like, I'm trying to see like what the story is behind these cards. So I think for this one, I'll probably put it in the B tier. There's not really much going on. Next, we have Toxtricity, which looks like they're having band practice in like someone's bedroom or something with another Toxtricity. I believe one of them is like the chill and one of them is like the more excited version of it because it's like one's blue, one's yellow. We see a Rillaboom on the drums and Obstagoon is a vocalist, I think. Love the vibes of this, very comfy, very chill vibes, and I think this one definitely deserves a spot in the A tier again. And next we're getting into the Hisuian Articuno, which low-key looks like Frozone from The Incredibles. I love how the Articuno is backlit from like the sunset from what it seems like through the trees and everything. This perspective looks like as if someone kind of stumbled across this Articuno like in the forest or something. It kind of has a majestic vibe, but it's not really doing much in the portrait itself, so I think for this one I'm gonna have to put it in the B tier. But I mean, B is average. I would say anything below is not so good, but again, I don't want to disrespect any artist because all these artworks are so good. Next we have the Mew, and Mew is just adorable. I am biased because I love Mew. I love to collect Mew cards. Around it we see Arrokuda, Nidoran male and female, Cramorant, Rookidee, Cutiefly, Ponyta, and Squovet. I mean, they just stumbled upon the Mew. It seems like it was like half eaten and just like had a food coma or something with like one bite into a berry. This card I'm definitely gonna buy multiples of just because I love Mew, but this one, Mew in the focal point where it's just like sleeping and everyone's like around it. Maybe not trying to wake it up, but this definitely deserves a spot in the S tier in my opinion. Next up we have, oh man, we have two back-to-back banger artworks. We have a Lunatone, which kind of looks like it just like fell from the sky and just landed and it's just like stuck there. We see a Illumise and a Lumise, right? That's their names. Just kind of like stumbled upon it, but it is done none other than Sao, and love just like the vibes that it gives you. It kind of gives you a vibe of like you're reading a children's book or something, but love the coloring on this. Love like the different shades of blue transitioning to like the yellow and everything. So I am biased again. This one deserves a spot in the S tier because I just love Sao. Sao is killing it right now, so yeah, definitely love to see it in the S tier. Next we have this Deoxys, and as mentioned, Deoxys has all the different forms. It has Fusion Strike, Single Strike, and Rapid Strike, and all around it we see the different items from like I guess the second half of Sword and Shield. So we have like the horn, some scrolls, the urn, lantern, like the receivers and all that, the fan, and it seems like it's training, juggling. I have no idea what it's doing, but obviously it is upside down based off the background. Love like just the attention to detail of like the items themselves. This one, man, I think this deserves a spot in the A tier for sure. I don't know about S tier, but then I think A tier most definitely. Next we have this Diancie here, and not really a fan of Diancie as a Pokemon itself, but then I think this artwork definitely kind of defines who Diancie is. You see all the gems like floating around her. It seems like she's like creating something. Yeah, really cool. Love the little sparkles that you see off of like each gem and stuff. Man, I feel like our A tier is gonna be stacked, but this definitely deserves to be in the A tier in my opinion. Next we have Comfy, which I believe is the name, and this one we just see it. There's not really much going on in the background. I feel like it's just a few vines and like it's very dark. It's not well lit, so I don't really know what's going on, but I feel like it's a nighttime maybe, and I think this is going to be our first candidate in the C tier, but that's just where it's going to be unfortunately. Next we have the Galarian Moltres chasing some Dodrios, it seems like. I like the comedy that you see in the artwork, like they're all worried and then Zapdos is just like running amok. This one's really cool. I think this one's probably in the B tier for me. And now we have the counterpart to Lunatone, which is Solrock, and it's kind of like in the same setting where it just like fell from the sky. It seems like it's stuck, and this Illumise and Lumine is kind of like trying to help it out of the ground, it seems like. Personally, it would have been awesome if Sao did both artworks, but I understand that you kind of need to like divvy out the artworks to different people. Definitely the same vibes. I love how it like maintains the continuity of, I guess, Sao's art. I am gonna put it in the S tier right next the Lunatone. So yeah. Next we have Galarian Moltres, done by the amazing Shinji Kaneda, who has done some amazing artworks, most notably I think the Magmar and also the Giratina. Seeing those two artworks and seeing this Galarian Moltres, I thought that he would maybe do a little bit more with the background, but it's just a blue gradient. I thought there would be more going on the background, so I guess that's a little letdown for me. But it is Shinji Kaneda, and like the details on the Galarian Moltres itself is just crazy. But man, the use of colors in the background is so different from his usual work, so I think this one, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to bump down to a B tier. Next we have this Absol, which looks like it's like the sunrise, or like maybe like after the rain just passed, but then there's like a lot of like humidity, some fog, or like morning dew. At first when I saw this, I thought it was done by Sui, but it's actually done by Uta, which kind of have similar styles. Love the flowy mane that's going on his chest. I think this one probably goes in the A tier because like the attention to detail in the background and everything is really cool, so very fitting for this Absol card. Next we have Swiper the Fox, or Sly Cooper, or I think the name of this Pokemon is Thievul. But love like the styling of it. I feel like it kind of reminds me of like those like old school cartoons with like the very like monochrome coloring and stuff like that. Love like the red and how it just kind of blends into the rest of the background. I think because of the styling, I'm gonna have to put it in the A tier because I don't think we've seen anything like it, because I think this is maybe like the first of its kind. We have Magnezone in like a space factory of some sort, and they're using these magnets to like QC check these pyramid cubes or something, and we have the whole family there. We have Magnemites and Magnetons as well. Yeah, I'm really confused of why this factory is like in the middle of space, but I think that's a really cool story. I guess it's just a whole family, maybe it's a family business. I think this one definitely goes in the A tier as well. Gotta support those mom and pop shops. But moving on, we have a Altaria done by Ito, which he or she is known to do these yarn versions of these Pokemon, and love the whole like diorama, just like the bedroom. We see the window, the curtains, blanket, pillows, like the bed itself, even the little slippers that you see down there. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like she made this entire diorama by herself. Just like everything about it is just yarn knitted in some way, shape, or form. So I think the amount of work that goes into this, he or she put so much time in, so definitely deserves a spot in the S tier in my opinion. Next we have this Latias, which looks like it's flying through like Spain or somewhere in Europe, and then it's just like got caught in like the clothesline. Really like this. It's just like so cute. It seems pretty unsafe to be flying that low, especially as like a flying Pokemon, but then I just love the story behind this. And do we see any other Pokemon around it, or is it just a close? I think it's just a close, but yeah, love the story. I think this one is gonna go in the A tier. Next we have this Gudra, and it's the Hisuian form I believe, but we have some Pikipeks and a Wurmple in the foreground, which you see in the bottom left corner. I guess it's trying to feed it because it just can't go anywhere. I don't know what the story is, or maybe it just stumbled upon like the nest and it's just like chilling there, but it definitely has a very cute vibe to it, so love the story that it's telling. This one I think deserves a spot in the A tier as well. So this card is actually a Ditto card, not a Numel card, because despite all the Numel you'll see, you know, like just in the background, that one Ditto in the foreground, that is what the focus of the card is. So it is a Ditto card. I love how whenever Ditto transforms, it just turns into like a derpy version of that Pokemon. I'm very curious to see like what like a legendary Pokemon will look like if it was like transformed by Ditto. This card just gives me like super chill, comfy vibes in like somewhere in Europe where it's just like vast pastures and like mountains in the background. We just see that one lone Ditto in the herd, so yeah, very cute. I think this one deserves a spot, probably in the B tier, just because it's just very plain Jane, but I mean, love the story that it's telling. Next we have Dunsparce, and there's quite a few Dunsparce here. We see a total of 4 from what it looks like, and I don't know if all 4 of them are like Pokemon. I feel like the one in like the bottom cabinet drawer may be like a plush, but I feel like the 2 on the ground and on the top by the globe are real. Maybe also the one in the closet on the left, but regardless, I think they're just patiently waiting for their owner or the trainer to come back home. Love the vibes of this. Pretty simple as well. I think this one probably go in the A tier, just because there's so much detail to like the background, like the map, the desk, the little Omastar plush or figure, I guess, the Aerodactyl, the trophy, just everything about this room just gives a lot of detail, so love it. Also, there's a little drawing of Dunsparce on the wall, so that's adorable. So yeah, definitely in the A tier. Next we have the PTSD from my childhood, which is this Miltank. It gave me so much trouble in the games, but this one's a very cute artwork. This artwork gives me Thanksgiving vibes, but then this Miltank has a spread of a variety of things. I think I'm gonna put this in the A tier for now. Next we have this Bibarel and Bidoof family, where they're just collecting wood to make their house. I really like the styling of it. It's like very simple, colorful, like, you know, very like bold colors. It kind of looks like crayon in a way, like the coloring aspect of it. This definitely seems like a new artist, and I feel like some artists kind of like are grouped together in like the similar styles, kind of like Hyogonosuke and all that. But yeah, I think this one is gonna go in the B tier. So yeah, we'll keep it there. And next, oh, okay, so this is Koki Saito doing work. He basically made like a Southern Islands, the green file, blue file, where like all 9 cards make like this combined artwork. So let's just go through it. So we have a Riolu, a Swablu, Duskull, Bidoof, obviously Pikachu front and center, Turtwig, Paris, Poochyena, and shout out to Gen 2, we have a Mareep. So this artwork, just seeing it all together is just, my god, just so good. Like in the middle of the forest, we see the mountains behind it, some fall leaves, the flowers and trees and everything. It's just so well done. So Koki Saito doing amazing work. I think this one definitely deserves a spot in the S tier just because of how all the artworks connect and make like this one gigantic art piece. So I'm gonna put all of these in the S tier. So with that, that's the end of the art rares. Now let's get into the secret art rare, starting with this Leafeon, which looks like it's in like a greenhouse of some sorts. I don't see any other Pokemon around it, but it's just like chilling, probably just like waiting for its owner, or maybe it's maintaining the green room. Is the Leafeon's tail in like a jar of water from what it seems like? I guess that's just how it stays nourished, I guess. But really cool artwork. I think this one, man, as we get into secret arts and stuff like that, there's just gonna be so much more going on, so much more detail. Let's put it in, I think this one deserves to be in the S tier for sure. I think our tier list may be a little bit top heavy, but we'll see. Next, we're getting into the Charizard. Of course, we got this in the UPC. This seems like the aftermath of their battle. They seem chilled out. There's a little leaf chilling on Charizard's head. Maybe because we've seen it before, maybe that's where my bias is, but I think this one will go in the A tier. Up next, we have the VSTAR. Now this VSTAR, it is insane. There's just so much going on. We see a Diglett right there in the bottom left, Charizard, Mewtwo, a Tangrowth, and yeah, this is just insane. Like the whole like perspective of this battle going on is just crazy. So this one is definitely the S tier. Next, we have this Entei, and this Entei card reminds me of like a Colossal, and I think there's like one more Pokemon that has like the similar background. I don't know, it seems very meh. This might be the first mid card in my opinion, just because maybe it's because Entei's the least favorite out of the 3. For me, it's Raikou, Suicune, and then Entei. But for Entei to be put into this like quote-unquote generic, but it's just like an artwork that we've seen before, it's just not that original. So I think because of that, I'm going to put it in the mid. But next we have this Pansage. Is that what it's called? Simisage? I have no idea. But then this is such a derpy version of this Pokemon, but love the styling of it. I love like the little like, I guess, other emotions or emoticons that like it has in the background. Man, this one's just so cute though. I love how they're all eating like citrus berries. Like the Mew is eating a citrus berry, this one's eating a citrus berry. I think this one definitely goes in the A tier for sure. And oh, the Suicune. I mean, Suicune, like I said, is my second favorite. I know a lot of people have a lot of affinity towards Suicune just because of Gen 2 and playing Crystal version, but just like the whole setting of the Suicune, like it's in like the Arctic, there's a bunch of snow on the ground, a bunch of icebergs, stars shooting across above its head. Just the overall attention to detail, it is just crazy. So yeah, this one definitely deserves a spot in the S tier for sure. Next we have a Lumineon. And I feel like what I like to do with like these special arts is like look for any other Pokemon to see if like, you know, there are any. So right off the bat, we see a Lantern. Do we see any others? I personally don't see any, but if you guys do, please let me know in the comments below. But this one, we see a Lumineon in like this like coral reef of some sorts. I feel like more could have been done, but I still think they did a really nice job. So this one will go in the A tier. Next, we have this Glaceon VSTAR, and it seems like it's done by a new artist, Gemi or Jemmy. Hopefully I'm saying that right. This Glaceon doesn't really seem like it's doing much. Maybe it like caught the attention of like a photographer or something, but it is just chilling in the snow. And I love the trees or like the branches in the foreground. Yeah, not really much going on. So I think this one may be going in the B tier, I think. And oh man, this Raikou. Okay, let's just put it there first and then we'll talk about it. It is easy S tier. Easily S tier. And I mentioned maybe I'm biased because it is a Raikou, but then just look at this artwork, like the speed lines you see behind it, the electricity that's like flowing from the Raikou, the stance, like the pose that Raikou's in. You even see like the muscle definitions in its legs and everything. Yeah, whoever made this one, Nagimiso, yeah, they did such a good job with this one. This is probably one of my favorite special arts or special art rares, but this definitely is in the S tier for sure. Yeah, I can't get over this artwork. Every time I see it, I just get like goosebumps every time. Next, we have this Zeraora VMAX, and this one's just so adorable. We see a Pachirisu on its head, a Molga on like its right arm or left arm, and a Togedemaru hanging on for dear life on like its leg. This one is just adorable. Love the inclusion of different Pokemon, especially the same typing in the same card. So yeah, probably definitely deserves to be a spot in the S tier. I feel like S tier and A tier, they're basically the same. It's gonna be very top heavy because it's just, how can you knock these good arts? It's just amazing. And following that, we do have the Zeraora VSTAR, and don't really know what's going on here or like where the Zeraora is. It seems like a cyberpunk city of some sorts, and like just like demolish this bridge, electricity overload, something like, I don't know what's going on. It just seems like it's just like casually walking through the city and just like destroying everything along its path. This one, I'm gonna say the A tier for now. And okay, here it is. So we have the Charizard perspective, and now it's the Mewtwo perspective. And this one we see the same Diglett again in the bottom right. We see a Tangrowth, and in this one I believe we see a Geodude in like the middle right there. And we see the Charizard obviously with the blue flame. That's very interesting on his tail. But yeah, Mewtwo doing like a Shadow Ball or something. This one's definitely in the S tier along with the Charizard VSTAR artwork. Next we have this Deoxys, which is gonna be, I guess, teleported, transferred to a different planet, and love that Saturn. Like the colors on the Saturn in the background. We see the Orbital VMAX above it, which is maybe the main form of transport for this Deoxys, even though he can travel in space just fine. Also, it's the defense form, which is kind of an odd take, but then could have been cool to see like the speed or the attack form. But this one, I think, goes in the A tier. Yeah, I think the A tier, because next one, as you see here, I believe this is a speed version. Like, I saw someone open this, and the texture on this card is just insane. I just can't wait to see all of these cards in hand, look at the texture and the foiling of it. So we have this Deoxys VSTAR. I have no idea what's going on, but then it is just insane, just the level of detail and everything. This one is definitely going in the S tier for sure. Next, we have this Hatterene done by Sui, one of my favorite artists, and it is just towering over these trees in the forest and just looking off in the distance. I love the particles all around it, like the pink and the blue particles that you see. There are some pillars of light, so I don't really know what that's all about, but then maybe they're rate dens. I just love the contrast between the pink and the blue. It just complements each other very well. So yeah, Sui did really good. I think I'm gonna have to put you in the A tier for sure. Next, we have this Zacian, and I believe this is the same artist maybe that did that Bronzong character rare in VMAX Climax with Jasmine. I'm curious to know if it's like looking at its reflection, because we see like ripples, like spiral patterns, but I don't know if it is. I love the grayscale and just how Zacian just pops out right in the middle, so that's pretty cool. I think this one probably goes in the A tier for sure. Next, we have this Lucario VSTAR, and man, the colors on this one, first like the pose, just like the front facing pose, the eyes, very powerful, very menacing vibes it gives off, even the electricity by its arms, and as I mentioned, the colors around it, it is just crazy. Love this VSTAR art a lot. This might go in the S tier, and I think English did a pretty good job of choosing this as a promo in the Crown Zenith set. That's such a weird name, but then yeah, the English set, which is the equivalent to VSTAR Universe. But yeah, definitely S tier. Oh man, we have Yukimori with a Skorupi. Is this a Skorupi or is this a Druddigon? Sorry, I meant Drapion, not Druddigon. But yeah, we have Drapion with the two Skorupi, probably just like on a family outing or some sort, just like eating some dirt, I guess. Love how she like takes the effort to go outside. I don't know if she makes this, she probably just finds it, right? Like a patch of dirt, puts these claymation figures on the dirt and then just kind of poses them. But this one for sure goes in the S tier. I feel like any artist who like makes stuff, you know, like Ito and Mori especially, like they deserve a high ranking just because their level of detail. Ooh, we have this Darkrai VSTAR, and it's like the calm before the storm. It seems like it's like meditating over like this lake. I don't know what that white rectangle is in the background. Maybe it's like a portal, but then we see like the moon, the clouds. Can't really make out the background per se. I think because there isn't much detail to the background, I'm gonna have to put this in the A tier, but still very well deserving of the spot because yeah, this artwork is crazy. Ooh, we have this Hisuian Samurott? Hisuian, right? Or is it just regular Samurott? I think it's Hisuian, but love the contrast between like the trees, like the yellow, orange, red, with like the green, blue hues of like the lake. and also the mountains in the background. I just love it when artists use like the full spectrum and then know how to like place each one to like contrast and like complement each other very well. So this one's very well done. Unfortunately for this one, because there isn't much going on other than like the colors of the tree and like the water, I think this one might go in the B tier just because, yeah, nothing really crazy is happening other than just like him looking out on the water. So B tier for now. And okay, now this one goes hard. This one's just crazy. Just the amount of detail with the background. This low-key looks like some genjutsu from like Naruto or something, but poor Snorunt. Out of all the Pokemon, they chose a Snorunt. Hopefully the Snorunt can make it out safely, but man, this genjutsu looks menacing as hell. I think this one has to go in the S tier. The level of detail on this is crazy. So yeah, poor Snorunt. We had this Hoopa V, and I don't know about you, but this reminds me of that one scene in Aladdin where like they just have like mountains of like gold everywhere, just like jewelry, like treasures everywhere. So this kind of reminds me of that. Don't really know the lore of Hoopa, but it just seems like you just came across this like giant treasure and it's just stacking coins on top of this treasure box. Really cool. I think this one is gonna go in the A tier. And next, oh my goodness. Okay, so we have this Zamazenta. Man, the colors on this is insane. Holy crap. It kind of gives me like Chainsaw Man vibes, like Mappa doing work here or something, but love the colors on this. That is insane. Just like tie-dye, but not really. It's just like so well done. Like everything contrasts each other very well. Like where there's red, there's black, blue, there's purple, there's like yellow bits here and there. Man, I just can't get over the colors, and I wonder the bottom, like behind the text, is like a reflection of Zamazenta in a way, or maybe it's just leaves on the ground, but still the colors on this is insane. So definitely going in the S tier for sure. Oh, we have a Regigigas, and I believe this one is very true to the lore, and it is done by Kasube. Love the cross hatching, love the sketch design of it. Just the line work and the detailing of it is just so Kasube. I wish there was more colors per se, because it seems very like monochromatic. Other than the Regigigas, it's like green and like a pinkish orange. Because of the lack of colors, I think that's gonna bump it down to an A tier, but still Kasube is doing work with this artwork. Okay, so we have a Hisuian Zoroark, and man, this just goes crazy. Like it kind of reminds me of like those like old like Edo era paintings, Japanese paintings, Asian paintings and stuff like that with like the clouds and everything. I love the styling of this. I just don't know how to describe it and put into words, but yeah, very, very cool. I think this is the first of its kind in my opinion. This one I'm gonna put in the S tier for sure. All right, so now we're getting to the final stretch of trainers, energies, and the ultra rare. So let's get right into it. So starting off, we have Chorus or something, and he is just chilling in his lab. I love the Pokeballs that you see in front of him. We see a heavy ball, Pokeball, and a great ball, and a potion of some sorts. And he's also eating a hamburger. So maybe he's on this lunch break at work, just like on his downtime. Because of my lack of knowledge and nostalgia for this character, I don't really know like what game it's from. Maybe it's like Black and White, XY, no idea. But then because of that, I'm just gonna put it in the B tier. Next we have Irida, which is a waifu, and we have, I guess, all the people from the Pearl clan in this. So I really need to finish Arceus because how many like trials things that I did? Maybe like 2. Yeah, I really need to play that because it is a waifu card. I'm not going to put in the S tier, but it is definitely a tier candidate for sure. I need to play the game more to really understand who the characters are, but yeah. Next we have Raihan. Oh man, this is so adorable. We have a little girl wearing his hoodie or his jacket. He's signing a Pokeball for her. We see a little Rotom, you know, taking pictures or recording it. He's like on the red carpet. This is so wholesome. I gotta say, I love this one. I think this one is gonna go in the S tier for sure. Yeah, it's just so adorable. Next, we have Grant on top of a tree gathering a boat ton of citrus berries. And man, the level of dexterity that this man has is top notch. We see the Pokemon on the bottom. Don't really know their names. I kind of forgot, but it's like a Aurora and something else. But does anybody know why he has like those 3 gems in his hair? Is it like Fruity Pebbles that got stuck in his hair? But for Grant, I'm gonna put him in the A tier, and also I'm gonna bump Chorus up to the A tier as well. A tier should be fine for all these trainer cards. Next we have Cynthia with a Gastrodon, and it kind of looks like they're in the Sky Pillar area. I know that Cynthia is a very popular trainer, but then for me, don't really have that much nostalgia because didn't really grow up playing Diamond and Pearl. But as I mentioned, I think all of these deserve to be in the A tier unless it's like exceptional artwork. So Cynthia will go in the A tier. Next we have this guy, I forgot his name, but we have him and the entire Diamond clan together with him. I love the girl with the green hair doing like a flying sidekick. I think that's hilarious, but yeah. This one, nothing notable. I think this will go in the A tier. We have a Sharon with a Lipard. Don't really know where this could be. Maybe like the entrance to a school because he is a teacher. This one, not much to say, definitely an A tier. Next we have, ooh, Roxanne. So this artwork right here of like the skeletons of Aerodactyl, Tyrantrum, and Bastiodon gives me Washington DC Worlds 2019 vibes. Because of that, I get like a lot of nostalgia just like looking at it. I know that for her, she's probably just in the museum, just taking notes, doing some research, but for me, it just takes me back to the time of 2019 Worlds. So because of that, I'm gonna bump it to the S tier just because all the memories I had there. And moving on, oh, we have Gardenia, and I don't know if you guys can see it, but obviously we see the Blossom in front of it. In the foreground, we see an Ivysaur, the top of the Ivysaur. We see a Cherum, like the cloudy form, and we see a Cherubi. So love the detail of this, love how you see like everything kind of camouflaged together. This one is gonna go in the S tier. Okay, we have Melanie making breakfast from what it looks like. She has a stack of pancakes, like stew, like an omelet. Oh my gosh, that omelet is so adorable. It is shaped like Snom. Speaking of Snom, we see Snom in the background. We see an ice cube helping with like a salad. Love the vibe of this. Kind of gives me like Christmas vibes. She's basically doing what all moms do best, which is just make great home cooked meals. So yeah. This one, I think I'm going to put it in the A tier. We have this guy from Legends Arceus. Don't know his name. I think it starts with a V or something. Yeah, not really much to say about him. So I think this one will put in the A tier. Okay, next we have Alessa, I believe. Alessa and her giant puffy jacket. I love the pose of how she's just like chilling out. I think she's in the Ferris wheel because we do see like a Charizard roller coaster. We see a Jigglypuff playhouse balloon or something, so she's definitely in the amusement park of some sorts. Personally, I feel like she could have been out of the Ferris wheel and maybe like experiencing the amusement park as a whole, but then I think the background itself is pretty cool, so this one will go in the E tier as well. Next we have this one. I believe this is called like Friends of Sinnoh. So we have the two main protagonists. We have Barry, Cynthia, and basically Minato, Naruto's dad, all just hanging out. I think ever since like the Alola and Friends card, like these kind of cards became very popular, and I love how they're continuing that trend of making these cards. I think this one deserves to be in the A tier, but I think there's another one that deserves to be in the S tier in my opinion. And next we have Professor Rowan. Pretty simple, probably just leaving the office, leaving the lab. This one is going to go in the A tier, pretty simple. I think I'm going to bump the Sinnoh and Friends to the S tier, and moving on to the Hisui Friends or Friends of Hisui. Love this one a lot, more than the Sinnoh one. And I think this one just self-explanatory. It deserves to be in the S tier. Just love the overall vibes of the Hisui region, and I think they did a very nice job of enveloping the Sinnoh, I guess, lore and everything in Hisui very well. And our last trainer card is this Cyrus. So it is Cyrus, team leader of Team Galactic, and not really much to say. It is just Cyrus right there with the Team Galactic logo behind him. This one will go in the A tier. Now we're going to get into these energy cards, and you might be wondering, why are these energy cards a secret rare? But these energies actually have two different hollow designs. So we see one with a Pokeball and another with like the energy symbol respectively. It depends on the angle of the card, but then I think for all these energies, I'm just going to go based off my personal biases. So grass is probably going to be C, fire is going to be A, water is probably B, electric is going to be S, psychic is probably A, fighting, I'm sorry, is mid, dark is probably, I think dark is going to be S tier for sure, and I think steel is probably going to be C tier. So that's really quick and dirty for all the energies, and now we're getting into the final 4 cards. So we have the ultra rares, all done by Akira Egawa. Apparently all these combined, so we have Palkia, Arceus, Dialga, and Giratina, which we have to flip to make this combined artwork, which looks sick. So starting off, we have Palkia Origin Form. Honestly, like, is it bad to just throw all these in the S tier just because these are all so good? So we have Palkia Origin Form, we have Dialga. Seems like they're on like some like mountain or even a volcano of some sort just because of the coloring of it. But we have the Dialga Origin Form, we have the Giratina, and last but not least, we have the Arceus, the almighty Arceus himself, or itself, I guess. But yeah, that is it for my tier list. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. Hopefully it wasn't too long-winded. As I mentioned, this is going to be a placeholder for my unboxings until I get the boxes in hand. So hopefully you guys do enjoy this tier list. Please use this tier list if you'd like to make your own rankings of all the cards themselves. I'm very curious to see what cards you guys put in the S tier and what cards to go in the mid. If you like this tier list video, then please like and subscribe. And if you want more tier list video like this, then please let me know in the comment section below. We are on the road to 1K subs, and we're actually very close to hitting it, so it'll be very cool to hit that for the end of the year. But yeah, that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.